Oh my gosh, do we have a good one for you guys today? We have Owen Sammarone, and he was actually featured in Forbes magazine, How an Instagram Influencer Created a Full-Time Career as a Book Influencer. He talks to us about unleash the knowledge all the way into his current business today. He's going to give you some tips on how you can grow your coaching business $30,000 to $50,000 per month. And he worked with Dan Hurley on UConn men's basketball team. And he's got some great stories that you're not going to want to miss. Be sure to stay tuned, like, and subscribe. And most importantly, enjoy the episode. Wherever you are and however you are listening, thank you for being back with us on another episode of Winning the Moment. Today, I have Owen Sammarone with me, and he is the founder of Unleash the Knowledge. Owen, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Yeah, of course, Cody. Excited for this conversation. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's fun because I think I met you, through Instagram, which is really where it started, Unleash the Knowledge. I think we had like a discovery call, and I did a podcast with you, and that had to have been about 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's been, I guess, 6 years since I launched the brand. I still remember the date, September 14th, 2019 was like the first official post. So that got things started, but the business or the full-time life didn't start till just after COVID. So nonetheless, 5 years can go by quick. So yeah, meeting people can kind of or when I met people can always get lost, but
Sure.
I think we've known each other for a good amount of years now.
Okay, so the question is, at that time, were you with UConn basketball?
Yes.
You were. Okay, so I kind of want to talk about that because obviously UConn basketball is one of the biggest brands in college sports. And if I remember right, did you not even play high school basketball?
No. Yeah, I did not play.
And so did you work then with Dan Hurley?
Not in high school, college.
But in college, you worked with Dan.
Yep.
Which that's probably, you could do a podcast on just Dan. But tell me, how do you go from not playing high school basketball to being on the coaching staff of one of the best programs in collegiate basketball history?
Yeah. It was definitely a ride. So I got to University of Rhode Island for undergrad in 2014. And I knew probably in the first couple months, or even weeks rather, I could either go the typical college route and, booze and smoke pot and do all the things that college kids do, or I could really maximize these 4 years. And coming from a single mom household, I had this like chip on my shoulder that I couldn't screw up these 4 years because it was not a cheap investment to go to college nonetheless. And high school, Owen, was not a very academic person. So
Okay.
I really kind of had this 180 shift when I got to college, and I was like, all right, we need to hit the books. Yes, we could have fun, but we need to get involved in something that I can really gravitate towards. And although I didn't play high school basketball because I was 5'4", 110 pounds freshman year, I was a lacrosse player. That was the game I chose, which, ironic enough, there's actually a lot of similarities from like the offensive playbook of lacrosse to basketball. But I was just super short. I knew I was never going to play in basketball, so I just kind of forgot about that. But I played growing up. I had a lot of birthday parties at a place in New Jersey called Hoop Heaven, which is a basketball facility. I have many memories of going to New York City, which was more or less my backyard growing up, being from Northern Jersey, to the NBA store where my grandma would buy me a matching jersey and shorts set of the same team. So I had a lot of Denver Nuggets gear because
my guy, a Nuggets fan. Let's go. So you're a Carmelo fan then?
So the best way to say it is yes, I'm a Carmelo fan. I still am. So fortunately, when he went to the Knicks, which is my team today, it all came full circle.
Okay.
But when he was on the Nuggets, I was a big fan of Allen Iverson and J.R. Smith, who's a Jersey guy as well, which again, full circle moment. He actually was coached by Dan Hurley. So just funny how all those things kind of play out. But nonetheless, I was a basketball fan. I just didn't play. So when I got to URI, I realized I had to get involved in something. So one day after, I don't know, math 110 or whatever the class was, it was math for business. I went down to the Rhine Center, which was the arena. And it honestly was page out of like a movie where no one was there. It clearly was an off day looking back on it, and no one was there, and it was all the lights were off, and I just kind of like checked out the whole place. Like I went all the way to the president's suite on the third deck, all the way down to the lower level. And I found this one room with a light on, and it was this management room. It was the management room for like the arena itself, because obviously they had concerts and other things outside of just basketball. And no one was at the front desk, and there was a literal like diner bell, like one of those like
Yeah, yeah.
silver bells.
Uh-huh.
And I banged that thing, and this girl like comes out startled from behind the wall, and she's like, "Hey, like, how can I help you?" And I'm like, hey, sorry, I'm an 18-year-old freshman. I'm new to the school. I know I need to get involved in something. I love basketball. I would love any information on what I could do to get involved with the basketball team. Like I didn't know what a student manager position was, which was ultimately the position I held for 4 years. I just knew I wanted to get involved in the team. And I knew Hurley was a Jersey guy too. So it was like a home away from home for
Yeah.
me being up in Rhode Island. And that led to an interview, which is funny looking back on it because I don't think anyone really gets interviewed for that position. And we were so low level at that point. So I'm not even sure why they had an interview. I
It's
think it
still
was just,
Division One, or
yeah, Division
okay.
One. Yep. We're in the Atlantic 10 or Rhode Island's in the Atlantic 10. So it's a good team. I mean, it's a good conference for sure. Dayton, Ohio, or Dayton
Okay.
Flyers
Yeah.
are in it, Davidson College. And anyway, I get the interview, and then they tell me to come to practice the next day. And they're like, hey, pull up a chair, just see if this is something you want to get involved in. And it was like from that moment, I was like, I don't need to watch this. Like I'm ready to go. Throw me in the mix. Like this is exactly what I want to do for the next 4 years. So it was an unpaid job. It was a lot of time I gave them, but it went from freshman year all the way to senior year. I traveled the nation with them my junior, senior year. They gave me a framed jersey when I graduated. I was celebrated with the seniors,
Wow.
which was just so funny. Like how, I mean, I always thought of myself as, a low level employee, but they really valued me, which I honored. Granted, I did give a lot of time and effort, and I
Yeah.
was very dedicated to the program, but we won championships my junior, senior year. We won the conference. I have two rings, which is crazy as well. We beat Trey Young in the NCAA tournament in overtime back in 2017, and then coach gets the UConn job. So my goal through college was to be the youngest GM of an NBA team. That was my initial
What
goal.
a sick job that would be.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh
Building
my
a business
gosh.
was not at all a focus of mine. Books were not a focus. I wanted to be the guy kind of putting all the pieces in place for an NBA team. So it's funny, like being around coach as often as I was so hard to get his ear. Like he was bouncing from one thing to another. So he knew I was dedicated, but I knew I needed to have a moment with him where I could just be like, coach, this is what I want. This is the path I want. Like, how can I help you get to where you want to get to so I can follow along? Or how can you help me get there? So it was like the season was winding down senior year, and I finally got a minute with him. And he saw me as someone who could be like in a scouting department or an operations role for a team. So that was encouraging that we had that shared
Yeah.
kind of understanding. But then he like got the UConn job out of the blue, and he just left. So I didn't have much communication with him, but fortunately I was close with a couple of his, lower level staff members who joined him as well. And they said if I got into UConn grad school on my own, I would get the GA position. And I always thought like they could pull strings, like I don't have to get in on my own, like they
Yeah.
could figure it out, right? But they were serious about it. They were like, you got to get in, man, because I guess, grad school, business school is no joke. So you need to be kind of on a fair playing field with everyone else. But fortunately, kind of full circle moment because I did really well in the classroom because I had that kind of moment freshman
Sure.
year that I had to bust my butt. I got in, I did really well in school, and they brought me along to UConn. So that
So did you
that
have the
was
same role at UConn you did at Rhode Island then?
So slightly different role. The first role was student manager, and then it was a graduate assistant, which is like
Okay.
the next level up. So I
Okay.
was more of a manager of all the student managers,
Okay.
and then I was on the court all the whole experience. Feeding coach the ball, getting rebounds, etc.
Yeah.
Uh, but I had more of a I don't know legitimate role at UConn as a grad assistant.
And did you get paid for that?
I did. Yes. I mean, they like to remind me all the time that I was the highest paid graduate assistant in college basketball. So
Wow.
usually that role is unpaid. And most kids actually, they pay themselves or they pay for room and board just
Yeah.
to have that position because it's such a very unique, scarce position. But I had a salary, which was really nice. I mean, it wasn't much. It was 22,500 bucks, but to be around basketball and be around future NBA players, like, it's a pretty nice gift. But it was through that journey still that I realized, you want more, or you
Yeah.
realize like what this life could turn into. And I have respect for all those guys, and I love those years of my time, but it's a grind. It's a cutthroat industry. Unfortunately, marriages are not working out, or people are not even seeing their kids grow up. So there's a lot of sacrifice. And it was during those 2 years at UConn that I really came to realize, like, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Do I love the game this much to sacrifice all those other components of my
Yeah.
life that I do want to have a lot of involvement in? And I was a sponge to Coach. So Coach was reading books like Tim Ferriss and Robert Greene and Lewis Howes, and that's when I first got introduced to all these self-help
Yeah.
authors and business authors. And I would go to the Barnes and Noble on the UConn campus like after work and go buy those same books that Coach was reading, and I would just like consume them all. And it was like opening my mind to a whole new world. I was never like I don't know, none of that was ever introduced to me.
Sure.
So that got the ball started on the self development side of things. And yeah, I can keep talking of like how kind of the brand came about from there. But
I question for you, Robert Greene's. Did you read the 48 Laws of Power?
yes,
What do you think about that book?
I think it's obviously very polarizing and can be deemed or I don't know comprehended in different ways. But I think most of it's true. I think human behavior and the way we've kind of been operating has not evolved as much as we might think it has. We just have more technology or more freedom today than we ever did before with all the resources we have. But I think the human in itself hasn't evolved as much as we might think.
Yeah, I think if someone told me it was their favorite book ever, I'd probably keep those people at an arm's length.
Yes, agreed.
But I think that it is true. And I think that people don't like that it's true, but it doesn't mean that it isn't. And I think you should know it. But it's a very interesting book.
It's super well researched. I mean, it's amazing that he wrote it. Like, I think it's really helpful for someone to do all that work and provide it for us because it's not just, hey, here are the laws per se, but like it's backed by all this research from multiple other texts and sources and whatnot.
Oh yeah, no, it's like a history lesson. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Funny story, we at our company would read a book together, and so everyone got to choose a book, and Allie was our assistant, and she chose the 48 Laws of Power. And I was like, "Why did you choose this book?" I didn't know anything about it at the time. She goes, "Well, I looked it up, and it was like one of the most number read books ever." She's like, and oddly enough, it was the number one read book in prison. And I was like, so we started it. We got like 2 laws in, and we're like, yeah, this isn't the right book for us to read as like a company. So we're gonna move on. But I just finished it actually last month. It took me 3 months to get through it because it's just like it's a lot. But I think everyone should read it.
I totally agree. And um I think it's banned from prisons now.
Really?
Which makes yeah,
Because
I
they were
think that's a
manipulating
recent
too many
thing.
prisoners.
It makes sense, right? I mean,
Yeah.
more or less, I wonder. I mean, I've never gone down this path, and I don't know if I ever will, but if someone were to interview the prisoners who did read it, I wonder if they would say less that they learned something new and more that it validated
Oh.
probably how they were already acting.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Okay, so hold on. So back to your 2 years at UConn with Coach. He is reading books. That's what you get started on that journey. Were you there when they won the championship?
No.
No. Okay. Who was the best player on UConn when you were there?
The best player from like a draft stock standpoint was James Booknight,
Okay.
who he got drafted 11th overall, I think. I think maybe in the 2021 or
Did he go to
2022.
Charlotte?
He did go to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he I mean, just a great athlete. He was actually a baseball player for most of his life.
Oh
He
wow.
wanted to be like a third baseman or a shortstop.
Wow.
He came out of Brooklyn, and then I think he started playing basketball like in the eighth grade, which makes us feel so great, right? When we've been
Yeah.
playing sports our whole life,
Right.
and he made it to the NBA. Unfortunately, he's has had a little bit of a tough journey since
Yeah.
being there. But yeah, from a draft stock standpoint, one of the best players. But beyond that, a player named Jalen Adams um, was there. He's having a great career overseas right now, but he was an amazing athlete.
And then who is the most gifted player you got to be on a court and watch? So of all the people that UConn played, what player stood out to you the most in those 2 years?
Oh man, oh that's a great question. Oh my gosh. Um, oh man, I don't know if I haven't. I mean, I can rattle off some people. Like I've seen Lonzo Ball play, and obviously he's a
Well, and
great
even Trey
player.
Young in college. I mean, he was
Yeah,
so entertaining.
right. He's definitely up there. But I mean, we've played a lot of good talent. Like we played Duke. Well,
Yeah.
so we played Duke twice, and well, fortunately for us, but unfortunately from me, from a viewing standpoint, the first time we played them, Jason Tatum was injured. Um, oh shoot, I'm gonna forget their names, but they had like, Harry Giles or Giles
Uh-huh.
was
Yeah, yeah.
another player.
Yep.
They were all injured, so that was good. But those guys are obviously now NBA stars, or at least Jason Tatum is. Um, but the one guy, what's the one guy, the white kid who always tripped people?
Oh, now he's
Grace
on the Suns, Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen. He was in the mix and he tripped us too. So he brought those talents to Rhode Island as well. But um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, Trey Young, Lonzo Ball, definitely some players I can name off. But um, yeah, we played so many teams, and I guess the Martin brothers as well. One of them's on the Heat.
Yeah, uh-huh. Caleb and Cody.
Caleb, yeah, they were at Nevada
Yeah.
with we traveled out to Nevada one game. Oh my God, that was a hike from Rhode Island out to Reno. We lost,
And they had a
and
great coach. That was a great program they had there.
yeah, Eric Musselman,
Uh-huh.
who's a standout coach. So yeah, tons of great talent, but it's also interesting too, and I guess that's just life, right? Like great talent, God given abilities, but most of them, won't pan out for X amount of years. Like still short lived
Well, I
with
just
their.
saw an arrest of Justin Blackman, who was like one of the best collegiate receivers ever at Oklahoma State, and he just got
Yes.
arrested for like disorderly conduct and just looked terrible. It's like you just never know what's going to happen.
I know. I won't go into detail here, but there was a player at UConn who unfortunately will probably be locked up behind bars for the rest of his life. And we were close, and I helped him with the highlight tape and whatnot. But one bad decision can completely change your life. And unfortunately, most of these kids, the game of basketball or whatever sport has been their life for their whole life. So when
Yeah,
it
yeah,
ends,
yeah,
whatever that day, because the coach would always say the ball's going to stop bouncing one day. And also, if you don't love the game, the ball will go find someone else to love. So that happens for everybody, and unfortunately, when that does, using your college degree and going to build a career is usually not the first thing you end up doing. You usually just end up and head back home and see what your high school buddies are up to, and usually that doesn't always end up great. So yeah, I just had a recent former player who's in a really bad way now, and it's just unfortunate to see, but that's life, I guess.
So Dan said, "If you don't love the basketball, it'll find someone else." What was that quote?
Yeah, yeah. If you don't love the game, if you don't love the ball, it'll go find someone else to love.
That's funny
There's
because
plenty of people that could play basketball, but whether you have the God given a talent or not, you still got to put the work in. And if you're unwilling to do that, then your time will be passed over pretty quickly.
I tell people that about money. I say, if you don't love your money and take care of it and pay attention to it, it'll find somebody else. Like you got to have an eye on your finances and give it that love and care. Because if you don't, that money's going to go somewhere else.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's energy flows to what you put attention, or what's the, one of those quotes, like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you
your
nailed the premise of it, whether that's the quote or not. But
right, right. And that could be bad. You could put your attention towards, dumb things or doom scroll on your phone, or you could do it towards really good things. But Yeah, comes back down to that focus, which has actually been something I've been talking a lot about publicly, that you want to have your focus be, and I need a reminder of this every time I talk about it. You want your focus to be inch wide, mile deep, and not a mile wide, inch deep.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Last follow-up question for your Yukon time. Are you still 5'4"?
No, no. Fortunately, I had a growth spurt. I'm like 6 foot on a
Okay, I
good
was gonna
day
say because you
with a
seem
pair.
tall. Like when you said that, I was like, man, that would be a trip to meet you if you were 5'4". Because in my mind, you're a 6 foot tall guy. You know,
Oh man, I mean that's like the funniest part, right? Of building relationships online and then you meet
you
someone
don't
in
know.
person and yeah, you don't know and it's funny. Some people will really shock you. No, I'm a classic, average 6 foot guy. That it's not, oh, maybe he was taller, maybe he was shorter, he's just right there in the middle. Um, I wish I was probably 6'2", 6'3". That
Six
might
three
be
is the sweet spot.
yeah, that would have been nice, but yeah, no, we're definitely fortunately not 5'4" anymore. We hit a late growth spurt. I don't know, maybe junior year of high school, a little bit of a late bloomer, but um, yeah, we're sitting pretty right now, hopefully.
At least, hey, you're in the 6 feet club. That's a good place to
Yeah.
be. Okay, so you talked about uh, coach was reading all those books, so it got you started, and that's what really kind of spurred your interest in Unleash the Knowledge, which your first post was September 14th, 2019. So tell me, like, what was your plan when you started that? Like, what did you think you're going to do with it?
Yeah. Yep. So I started the page. I was finishing up my master's in financial risk management at UConn, which I've never used that degree, and nor do I plan on ever using it. But it was a bit of an ego play that I could say I could get a finance degree when I'm not a numbers guy by any means. So I was wrapping that up. We were coming up on the conference season, which is the turn of the year, January through March, and this is 2020. So January comes around, and a heart surgeon DM'd me, and he was like, "Hey man, you got like 30,000 followers right now. So this is like I don't know September or January, so 4 months or so building the brand." He's like, what does it cost to get my book in front of your readers? I just wrote this memoir. I'm from New Jersey. Ironically, he's from like a town over from where my grandma lives. He's a descendant of Cuban immigrants, and now he's a top heart surgeon in Dallas. And I was like, whoa, what an awesome story, man! I love that. Like adversity, resilience, humble beginnings. That's my that's my type of jam. But I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a college basketball guy. I don't know what you're talking about. You're going to pay me to do what? Like, I was so lost by
Yeah,
that inbound lead. And then I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I realized what this is. I was like, this is why beer commercials pay millions of dollars to get in front of the Super Bowl fans because that's their target audience.
yeah,
I was just living on a extremely micro level when it came to nonfiction, self help, and business books. So I remember going to my iPhone Notes app, and I just, fortunately, from a book I read, I made a three-tier pricing system to obviously favor the middle option. And it was like 150 bucks, 200, and then like 250 or whatever it was, I forget. And it was like a couple posts or something. And I sent it over to him, and he was like, "Perfect, like the $200 option." And I was like, "What?" I was like, this worked. It was an amazing like aha moment to see it all kind of come true. But the story is that there was no business plan. There was no focus to even create a business. It was the core reason why I started it and why I still actually run it was to build a community of like-minded people. So I have a great, still good group of high school friends that I stay in touch with now a decade plus later. But I love them, but they're not the biggest thinkers when it comes to like starting a business or innovative ideas. They would tell me to shut up about my big ideas and whatnot. So I was always trying to find those types of people who wanted to push against the status quo, who wanted to be entrepreneurs, more or
yeah.
less. And the page did that for me by all means, but it also created a business for me. So yeah, this guy, Brian Lima, who, ironic enough, he's now a heart surgeon at Vanderbilt University Health, which is now where I'm stationed in Nashville. So we're going to try to set up a dinner meeting because
That's awesome.
yeah, he was the guy that got
Started
this
it
thing
all in a
going for me.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. Um, and that was the light bulb moment I needed. And then, we went down to Fort Worth, Texas in March for our conference tournament. Um, and the world shut down. COVID happened, and we didn't play.
Yeah, that's
We
right. It
literally,
happened right as they were getting ready to start because I had tickets to the Pac-12, and I was telling everyone they're like they're going to cancel the games. I said they're not canceling the games. It's too much money. Like there's no way, you know. And so we went to Vegas, and sure enough, they canceled them, and like the whole world shut down that weekend, basically.
we literally had like our game was whatever Tuesday, and I remember getting ESPN notifications saying the MLB has shut down their season, the MLS have shut down their season, NBA playoffs are no longer. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, are you, this is nuts. Like, we're still going to play though. Like, I still thought we were going to play. I remember
Yeah,
we were going to play Tulane University out of New Orleans. Um, and it ended. That was it. And then we flew back from Fort Worth, Texas. And I never went back to the gym. I called coach and I was like, Coach, I'm so grateful and forever indebted to you for this amazing 6 year run. But I need to bet on myself here. Like I knew if I gave the same amount of energy I gave the team to this Instagram brand, I could make my $22,500 salary back, hopefully in less than 12 months. But if it took me 12 months, whatever, it
yeah.
would be a wash. And I always forget the number sometimes, but that 9 month run from April till December, I think I definitely cleared 22.5. And then from there, it's obviously been on the way up. So
What made you decide to leave it though? Like obviously COVID happened, but what changed for you?
yeah, so the biggest changing points for me was I was burning out. Now that I look back, hindsight's 2020. I really was burning out because my role, as great as it was, and as great as the perspective from the outside looks like. I mean, I was, I was taking the Madison Square Garden backstage pass, having our locker room be the Knicks locker room. Growing
Yeah.
up as a Knicks fan, having my locker next to the New York Rangers hockey staff's lockers was nuts. Like, who would have thought that this would all be possible? I mean, and I've been to the Garden 3, 4 times now. Um, but I was more or less a babysitter. I was waking up these players, making sure they got to class, making sure they got to practice in the weight room, and then I was more or less putting them to bed. I was doing curfew checks at 1 a.m., making sure they weren't
Wow.
out partying. So I was grinding from, I don't know, 6, 7 a.m. till 1 a.m. every day. And my health was actually declining too. I was starting to get migraines, which were extremely debilitating because I wasn't sleeping well, I wasn't eating regularly, and I wasn't exercising. Um, and when I get migraines, like most people do, your vision starts to go. And my vision actually started to go in the middle of a practice. And I kept going. I was rebounding and I could only see out of one eye. My depth perception was totally off. Like I
Wow.
very well could have fainted. I kept practicing for a bit, but then I fortunately stepped aside and was like, I need to leave. I need to go to the doctor. This is not good. Fortunately, I've not had a migraine in a very long time because I'm very diligent about my sleep routine and my eating, living the life I live today. But I was burning out. My health was going down. I was becoming very frustrated with my role, honestly, as a babysitter, and not that I was looking for the applause, but you really got no love.
It
Like
was
there
a
was
thankless
no,
job.
yeah, you were just doing like you were every day you had to come in extremely fortunate for the role you were in. You
Yeah.
could never have any sorrow or be upset because you were at UConn, like you were at the top tier. I mean, down the
Yeah.
hall was Gino Oriema, where you could see 11 banners on their practice gym. Now they have 12, which is great. Happy for them. But yeah, so it just served its purpose, I think is the best way to put it. And I think the moment I made the first dollars off the brand, I was like, okay, this is it. Like this is my ticket.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of myself looking back because I still kind of struggle with this when it comes to like, are you a plan A only guy and it's a burn the boats mentality? Or are you 80% like that and still kind of cross your T's and dot your I's? I think I'm honestly more of the latter there. Because if it wasn't for building that brand in September, I would have never had a launch pad to
Yeah.
blast off of
Yeah.
coming out of basketball. Now, I say all that to kind of clarify that I think you should be 100% in on whatever the core thing you do. Keep the main thing.
Yeah.
But let's go back to a money example. When you invest in your Roth IRA or your 401k, that's a way of like feeding your plan B or a way of crossing T's, dotting I's for your life down the road. But I think there's just sometimes that advice could be a little off when it comes to 18 to like 25-year-olds where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you gotta go
Yeah. Yeah.
head down, burn the boats, forget everything else. But it's like, no, you should actually spend your 20s doing like five different things and then figure out which one you really want to do. So a little bit of a rant on that hustle culture advice, but I'm fortunate the way I played it out.
Well, what's amazing is one, they even got to 30,000 followers because that's pretty incredible. And I didn't know this whole Bookstagram thing existed until I wrote my book, you know? And then I did what that heart surgeon did is I went on Instagram and started searching book things. And it's like the most inviting community ever. Like I've made these friendships through it, which is pretty remarkable. And now today you sit with 126,000 followers, which is incredible. And then, as we talked about earlier, you've also started branding your own stuff too. And I saw the coaching things you're doing, and I think you just barely went on a trip somewhere, right? Like a mastermind type trip
Yeah, I was
in
down
Mexico.
in Cancun.
Cancun, I love Cancun. So talk about where you are today. So we got a really great like peek into what got you to this point, but what are you up to now?
Yeah, so I've kind of come to a realization that the book brand and the book promotions took me from like $0
Yeah.
and no freedom to multi six figures and a lot of freedom. And now, as an ambitious person that I am, and obviously a voracious reader that I am still, I want to get to seven figures and beyond. So I've kind of come to realize that this brand, or at least the service option of the book promotions, is not going to get me there.
Yeah.
And I think it served its purpose as well. I've come to realize I have a pretty good intuition when it comes to like when things serve my purpose and when I
Yeah.
can close the door, whether it's relationships or activities or hobbies or jobs and whatnot. And I've also kind of come to realize that it always happens in like a 4 to 6 year window. And maybe Cody, you can attest this as you've walked this earth a little bit longer than I am. But I think like when it comes to college, right, or high school, you do it for 4 years and then you have a massive like life change. You
Yeah.
get that first job or you whatever. And again, not to go on a rant here, but there is the story of the Chinese bamboo tree, which I learned in college basketball, which for those listening, if you don't know about it, I'll summarize it really quickly. But you nurture the bamboo, Chinese bamboo seeds for like 4 years, and there's not a single sign of growth above the soil. Daylight every single day, water, tending it, all the things you got to do to make a plant grow, and no growth. Everything's happening below the soil. But come that like fourth or fifth year, whatever that kind of changing moment is, it skyrockets to an apex height of 94 feet.
Wow.
So I think like that's life. I think there's a 4 to 6 year window where you got to like put the work in. Nothing. It's the classic, success glacier image that we
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
know about. Where
Yep.
yeah, everything's happening below the water. But there seems to be this cycle, I think, of like growth, and maybe we can even. I mean, I'm sure there's reports on even the stock market every 4 to 6 years. Maybe
Yeah.
there's something that happens. So I'm in that period right now. I believe, and again, back to my point of like crossing T's, dotting I's. I started a LinkedIn ghostwriting service about 18 months ago, maybe even 2 years ago now, kind of in the background, taking a few of my best book promotion clients and ascending them to that offer where we do all the personal branding, content writing, growth, and even some DM sales systems for them to create conversations for them. And it started going really well, and people started to like it, and it made a lot of sense, and there was some good product market fit. So that's actually what I'm transitioning more so fully into. At least that's the breadwinner for the business at the moment. So book promotions have dwindled down. I still do some. They come through organically. I'm still happy to take on some. But it's not something I'm putting too much of my energy towards it. And the LinkedIn ghostwriting has been the main focus, helping founders and executives essentially amplify their brand on LinkedIn. You do a great job doing your day-to-day job in real life, and then we'll share the praises and the good information. On
So you're
LinkedIn for you.
basically managing their LinkedIn?
Yes, it's
Interesting.
a really good way to put it. Yep, writing content for them, growing it,
LinkedIn
commenting
is
for
hard.
them.
It's like you got to really, but what I found is that the people I know who invest in it really do get results. but you have to show up like all the time. At least that's what I've seen.
You do. I mean, like anything, right? It's not a 1 month in and you're going to get all the results. I mean, now that might happen for someone who already has a great offer and social proof on another channel, and you're just kind of using LinkedIn as the secondary channel. But like anything, it does take some time for ramp up. But I will say this, which is really interesting. For someone who built a whole business and lifestyle on Instagram, the household income of Instagram users, the average is $64,000. And that's the number two of all social platforms. Number one is LinkedIn at $124,000. So literally double the average
Wow.
household income of Instagram. LinkedIn is the kingpin, top one. And I think the moment we're living in today is really crucial as well, because when you think about who's a creator, your mom and aunt are creators on Instagram when it
Yeah.
comes to how they generalize
Sure,
it. If
sure.
you post the Coca-Cola you drank yesterday, you're a creator. But on LinkedIn, the true creators, people actually posting content on a regular basis, is the 1%
Yeah,
with
I agree
nearly
with
a
that.
billion users.
Just a lot of lurkers.
Yeah, a lot of corporate warriors, which again, that's totally fine, but a lot of people who are probably a little nervous to post or comment because they're afraid their manager or whoever else might see their stuff, which I understand too, which could bring that point of keeping the main thing full circle. But nonetheless, I think everyone should be posting on LinkedIn. I think you should be building your brand there. It's obviously the number one business to business social networking platform. So if you have something to sell or if you want to become a speaker or sell books, I think it's a pretty viable path for you.
What shocks me about LinkedIn is when I get those, I get the friend request, I accept it, and then it's, hey, when would you like to chat about our product or service or whatever it is? And it's just like the worst, laziest lead in ever. Like there's no work done. There's
Right.
nothing. And I was like, why are you even doing that? I can't imagine it ever works.
I don't think it
They
ever works
they got to
either.
be batting zero. So it's like, why are you even doing that? It's never, who even told you that this is a good idea?
And I love when folks like yourself, thought leaders, authors, consultants, or business owners say that, because to me, that's a great thing to hear, because it's, if you don't do that, you're going to win. Like
Yeah.
if you actually genuinely build rapport with someone, like you're going to crush it. And what I say to all our clients is, we're our first sales metric that we're looking for is not a booked call like most people's are. It's a reply. We're just trying to get someone to actually give us an answer back. So, no, we're not going in with a full-fledged pitch in multiple paragraphs and asking a hospitality person, why they need I don't know, help with engineering or something, like completely different industries that
Sure.
it boggles my mind too that people seem to do that. We're just trying to get a reply and build rapport. And it's the classic, date before you marry mentality. You're not going to go up to a girl the first time you meet her at a bar and get down on a knee and flip out a ring. Like that's not going to happen. You're going to, date, you're going to build rapport, etc. So it shocks me too that people don't take those in-person interactions that we all know so well and not take them online,
Yeah.
because it is still human to human connection. It's just from a more leveraged play. You're in the comfort of your home using this platform. But yeah, I think all those concerns of LinkedIn, because a lot of people who work with us literally will say, I hate LinkedIn. I don't want to log in, but I see the value in it and I want to raise my personal brand. So we literally come in as those people to handle the wacky LinkedIn,
Yeah, that's pretty
um, and,
brilliant.
and, and work to deliver results for them. But yeah, so that's the main thing. And then I have a coaching program as well, kind of in the background. That's probably, secondary. That's really helping people, which again, we talked a little bit before hitting record, but that is helping online experts scale their coaching businesses without sales calls and using just Instagram, because I had to learn how to do that out of
Yeah.
force after having a major health scenario. And I don't think anyone really loves sales calls. And I think if you get the marketing right, sales becomes easy. And if sales are hard, then your marketing is off. So it's just been really fulfilling from my standpoint, to run that coaching. But to kind of wrap things up, LinkedIn's the main thing. Coaching is there, and not the number one thing, but it's definitely there. And then the book promotion kind of book page almost is not so much a priority as it once was.
Okay, so I got two success stories for you. So a LinkedIn success story. Someone for my hospitality business. It's an independent hotel reward chain called Stash Rewards. It's awesome. Well, their salesperson, her name is Audrey, and she's incredible. She reached out and found me on LinkedIn, wrote me an email, and actually like did some due diligence. It was like, oh my gosh, I looked at your team. You're all beautiful, which everyone loves to hear. Yada yada yada. These properties are so cool. Like really, like I read it and I was like, oh, this person seems awesome. Like I'm going to respond, where I typically never do. But it's like she put in the effort, and now we've had this really great partnership for a multitude of years. So that's one success story. And then I love what you said about the sales call thing, because in our hospitality business, we have a podcast called the Virtual GM Podcast. And all we do, it's basically Alex Hormozzi's theory. We just give away a bunch of good information for free. Use it without ever talking to us, and it'll help your business, or reach out to us and have us help you help your business. And all of those calls I get on, it's 100% close rate because all the work has already been done. We're just talking about when we're starting. You know what I mean? I don't have to sell them on our proven process because they've spent 6 months listening to me talk about our proven process. So I think you're right on with what you're advocating for your clients, because that is how it works. On the few times it works, that's how it works.
And life was not always like that for me. I remember when I would get on calls with people, and 15 minutes of the conversation was me explaining what I did or what I do. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's tough.
what am I doing? Like all these questions could be answered through, I call them a couple things, but I call them either scalable assets or trust assets. And I think the name kind of explains it, but it's like, how
Yeah.
can you build trust in a scalable way without, building it once and using it multiple times? But obviously there's a whole system and funnel that I kind of put people through, but yeah, there was, there's been many days of getting on calls with people that either could have closed or even ended up closing, but they just didn't know who I was. And I had to put those pieces in place before that sales conversation happened.
Well, and you mentioned your health scare. I want to touch on that. So you had a spinal cord tumor that you had surgery on. What year was that? 2023?
Yeah, December 2023.
And I think you talked a little bit about that being a catalyst for you. So I'd love you to elaborate on like how that again was another shift in your trajectory.
Yeah, so I was Thanksgiving 2022, I started 75 hard for the first time. And for those that don't know it, it's the Andy Frischilla workout plan. It's pretty intense. I think it's valuable, but I will say if you're thinking about doing it, just know that you should have a ramp down part of the process. You shouldn't hit day 75 and doing 2-a-days to not doing anything for a month, because that's what I did. And now I learned that that was a mistake. So Thanksgiving to February, I'm busting my butt. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm running in Connecticut, 9-degree weather at 7 a.m. in the morning, listening to Hormozzi's podcast as well. Just like an absolute nut job. And I'm super dialed in. I'm in a great mental space. Like everything's going well. February comes around. I finished the program and I didn't do anything for like a month and a half. I sat on my butt. As I mentioned, did not have a like, oh, let's do one day or one workout a day type of thing, or maybe one workout a week even. I did nothing. And I think I probably shocked my body to some degree. But April comes around and I'm on a walk with my then girlfriend, now fiance, and my left foot started to slap on the ground. Like I felt like I had to tell my leg to move. And I also mentioned this on the podcast, so it's helpful. I was afraid that my migraines were causing a massive issue with my brain.
Okay.
And I obviously everything went through my brain. I thought I was having thought I was developing like multiple sclerosis or something. Like I thought I was literally done for. And obviously as a former athlete, that was very tough for me to swallow. So that leads to a bunch of tests. So just to explain it a little bit more, like my ankle dorsiflexion, which is what allows you to lift your toes and your ankle, was not working. And unfortunately today it still does not work.
Is that kind of like drop foot?
I have drop foot.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
You know, Michael
which is
Porter Jr. has drop foot.
Say that again?
Michael Porter Jr. on the Nuggets has drop foot.
Does he really?
Yeah. So he plays with I mean, imagine what he is doing and he's doing that with drop foot and has to play with the
Wow,
brace to help.
that might have been the best thing I could have heard because I
Yeah,
haven't played basketball in 2 years, and as
really.
you can imagine, it's
Yeah.
crushed me.
So go look it
Um,
up. He wore a special brace, and he has it. He has and plays with drop foot.
wow, wow, okay. Yeah, I've just actually warmed up to the idea of wearing a brace. I've been very reluctant to it for the longest time. I just got one actually off Amazon, just to test one because
Yeah.
I mean, it's $600 through the insurance. I can go that route, but I was like, let me go get a $30 one first and see what this
Sure.
does for me. And it's actually been amazing. My lateral movements, so my steps from side to side,
Yeah.
have been a game changer for me. So I'm on the up, I
Yeah,
will
well,
say.
go check out what he did, and I'm sure he's talked about it on his pod too. But I'm sure that'd be a great resource for you
Yeah.
to
That's awesome. No one's told me that, so I really appreciate that.
yeah,
That's actually really encouraging because I don't know anyone that has this other than someone who went through a stroke.
yeah, right. No
And
athletes that are currently athletes that have it.
right, right. So anyway, I get a bunch of tests, and of course, the first tests were for my brain, thinking I had a bunch of white matter and I was gonna go brain dead. Fortunately, my brain is totally fine. But then we did a lumbar, spinal or lower back MRI, and they found this 4 centimeter tumor pressing up against my nerves, essentially in the middle of my back. And surgery was obviously the recommendation, but I wasn't rushing to that because I thought I read all these books. I can
Yeah,
transform my mind
yeah.
and cure myself, which I still partially believe, and I'm still working on it. I'm on this whole Joe Dispenza
Okay,
track right now.
okay, I like it.
Um, but I ended up going to Italy actually because I had an Italy trip, and they advised me not to go, and I said no, I'm still going to go. Thinking I was almost thinking like if I'm going to die, I'm going to Italy, and that's the way I'm going out. I ended up clocking like 25K steps like every day going through Venice in the 99-degree weather. And I didn't complain. I was fine. There was a couple semi trips, but I did not fall, which was good. And then I ended up getting the surgery in December. So I guess again, 9 months maybe since realizing what was happening, I decided to get the surgery. And I'm a man of faith. I
Were you
like
always a man of faith?
I've been, yes, I was raised Roman Catholic growing
Okay,
up, the traditional Italian American route, but then I kind of just gone down the non-denominational route of my
okay,
last like 15 years, where if you believe that Jesus is the Son of God and he came down on earth as man, then we're good. We're on the same page. I don't need to, if you believe in saints or this or that, like, I don't need to go into the weeds about that. But now I go to a non-denominational church, so it's more or less, I guess, Protestant, you would call it.
okay.
It's not like traditional hymns, which I also didn't love, so I needed to get away from that anyway. I'm more into the contemporary Christian music.
Yeah,
But I leaned into him big time. I got sober as well, like 3 months before the surgery, so I just prepared my body for the best possible
yeah.
scenario. I had really good doctors. I was at Yale New Haven, which is a top tier hospital in the nation. Um, and I now have a 12-inch scar down my spine. They successfully removed it. I spent Christmas in the hospital. It was the craziest pain I've ever been through. A day or two after the surgery, I had probably like 20 staples in my spine,
Wow.
and and then I was bedridden for like all of January soon after. And it was during those months where I was like, I need to earn money. Like I need to grow my business. I need to at least stay, level headed, I guess. And my November month was worse compared to my December and my January. So when I was busting my butt working all hours of the day, I actually earned less than I did in December when I only worked about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And then January when I worked here and there, all off my using my thumbs in DMs. But I was able to grow the business because I changed how I presented my offer. I changed the pricing structure to create a little bit more of an easy yes. I ran some ads to create more buy-in before I were to speak to someone. And essentially that whole process is kind of what I share with online experts now on how they can do the same on Instagram.
so if someone hires you for coaching, you're taking them through that secret sauce that you found while you
Yeah.
were kind of laying in the bed.
Yeah. Yeah. How can you grow your business, or at least like tangibly, how can you add 20K in a month profit without sending cold DMs, complex funnels, sales calls, um, and the system is more or less using minimal content. Like you don't have to post daily. You just need the right pieces that shift beliefs. And then I call like my VSL version, the video sales letter, I call it the one magnetic video. And that's like your core selling mechanism that if someone who's the right fit watches that video, whether it's 7 minutes long or 20, it should do the job of conveying what you're all about, and they should be able to make a buying decision if they want to step forward with you. So
Interesting. So, because I saw a post you had where it's like increase your monthly income 30 to 50,000. It was for coaching stuff, and I was like, man, what are these people charging for their coaching? Is that like a couple big ticket items, or is that just picking 10 people up at $3,000 a month?
yeah, it varies. I mean, to give away some sauce, like part of the reason why my no sales call model works, at least the way I share it with coaches, because I was able to close two, three, $5,000 deals off the book page without a call, mainly because the brand is there.
Sure.
But as you can imagine,
The
most people
trust
don't
is
have
built.
that. Yes. So part of the reason why it works today with coaches is it's a high ticket offer disguised as a low ticket offer. And I call it a fusion offer. And it's weekly pricing. So instead of like 10K, it's $300 a week for X amount of
Okay.
weeks. So it's a little bit of it's an easier decision to make. Now, granted, you need to put a contract in place that they don't jump ship after a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And you also need to set expectations on what the whole X amount of months looks like. So they need to stay in it for the whole duration. And of course, be a great coach that they are getting value. But instead of pulling out the credit card and investing 10K, you're paying $300 today and you can get the ball rolling. So that makes it a lot
I
easier
like
for
that.
someone to decide without a sales call. But to your point, you can position it where if you're not looking to grow the MRR or the WRRR, the weekly reoccurring revenue, you can just price anchor and say, hey, save $1,000 and pay whatever, 7K right
Yeah.
now. Or maybe
Sure.
it's like save 3K instead of 10K over 6 months.
Yeah.
Or what I'm screwing up all the numbers, but
No, I get what you're saying. You take
you know
that
what I
same
mean?
weekly rate and say, if you did this for the whole program, it's going to cost you 10. Pay up front. We'll give it to you for 7.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, well, especially if, someone has that money, you're like, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Let's lock it in right now. So if you catch, 3 or 4 of those deals, you're having a pretty good month and you're rocking and rolling. So yeah, it's a bit of it.
I love
Magnetic
that.
mentor.
I like that a lot. I need to do something like that. It's like you and I talked before about doing
Yeah.
that. I'm still not there yet, but I need to. It's
All
like
good.
as you were
100%.
talking, I was like, what would my video be about? I probably got to get clarity on that.
Yeah. I mean, that's like instead of posting every day, playing the organic grind, you get a couple videos like dialed in,
Yeah.
and it can be way more effective than posting every day because that's a big pain. For
Oh my
coaches
gosh, I did
or
it
anyone.
when I started the podcast. I would post not every day, but I think I posted like 4 times a week, and now I post like once a month because I just don't enjoy it. And I mean, I could pay someone to post for me,
Right.
but then it's not me, and so it's like, I don't know.
And that's been another big change for me too. And actually, that Mexico mastermind helped me a ton.
I'm glad you brought that up.
To-
I wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, it's just the simple idea of like, because when you're a business owner, you're like, okay, how do I get leads? How do I get clients? What's the next hack? Blah, blah, blah. And most of it doesn't feel right. And I think everything works. I think you could do a paid ad. I think you could do the organic play. I mean, my whole book brand is a testament to that. Like, you don't have to spend $1 on any of that. You can just make it work that way. You can do webinars, you can do in-person events, like everything works, but not everything I think works for you.
Sure, I love
Whoever that
that.
person
Yeah, that's
is.
great.
And then beyond that, like really checking in with yourself from an energy standpoint. And it's like whenever I've tried to do too much or do something that I thought the market was doing and I had to follow suit, it never got done as quick as I wanted it to, or it never felt right, or it never produced the results I was thinking about. And
Yeah.
I think it all comes down to what your energy level was going into shooting that video or
Yeah.
writing that copy and whatnot. So that mastermind has really helped me kind of take a step back and be like, okay, this is not rocket science, first and foremost. Everything works here too, but what feels right to me? And then lean into that. And that's part of why I'm sunsetting the book promotions. I'm like, it doesn't feel right for me anymore. It
Yeah.
served its purpose. It was an amazing 5, 6 year run. It gave me the most incredible fantasy life I think I could have ever imagined as a, I guess I was 22 or what was it, 24 when I left basketball. Um, but now it's time to move into the next direction and channel that energy in the right place.
I love that. I did the same thing with this podcast this year where I was doing an episode a week and I was like, it started to feel like a job. And I was like, that was never the intention. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to feel like I was going to record a podcast like I was going to work. But it got to that point, and so I said, I love it and I don't want to not have it. So now I do one a month. And that has been my energy feels better. I'm excited for our podcast today versus coming into it being like, oh my gosh, I got to do another one. And it's just finding that right balance of where it felt. I was excited to do it.
And I've from a guy who, if I'm not on a social platform, you should be alarmed. Like, I've tried it all. I've been on every platform. I've done the podcast. Like, it's all great and dandy and it's fun, but you're right. If it becomes a job and that wasn't your intention, you got to take a step back and just think about why you're doing what you're doing. And I think the way you did it actually is probably the best advice too. It's like, it might just be a change of cadence.
Yeah.
And if you fix that, you're good.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to sunset the whole thing. Just figure out the cadence.
Right. Because it's like, I've already, I hit my silver play button on YouTube, which I didn't even think that was possible when I started.
Yeah. Congrats on that.
Yeah. Thank you. So then you get that and it's like, oh, I kind of felt like I arrived a little bit, like I got my championship ring. And so it's like, now what? But I knew I did not want to do it because I love having the platform and the opportunity to have a conversation like we're having now, because what I do know is someone's going to listen to this episode, even if it's one person, and they're going to hear a piece of something that's like, oh, that's what I needed, and so it's worth it in that regard. But to your mastermind, I want to ask you about it because one of the biggest takeaways, this is episode 85, in doing this, is all the people I've met who are doing really cool things are all investing in themselves. So like we've talked a lot about basketball. LeBron James invests $1 million in his body every year. And it's why at 40 years old, he's still chasing people down and pinning the ball on the backboard on a fast break. And so I'm curious, what was your motivator for the mastermind? Like what made you decide to do it? And then what was the purpose of the mastermind?
Yeah. So I'm a massive believer, obviously, in self-education and self-investment. Whether that's a book, $20, or it's a 4 or 5 figure mastermind invite or coaching program. I don't know where the drop off happens, where you grow up playing sports and you invest in a coach or a private trainer, but when you get to corporate or you get to business, you realize that's not the case. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me.
That's a great point.
But the coaches I know, the players I know that are the best of the best, they all are massive investors in themselves. I mean, to your point with LeBron James, whether it's his health or his relationship or his skill set. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I can probably imagine that LeBron James even still has like a shooting coach, which you would think he does not need to be taught how to shoot or how to shoot better. But I'm sure he does. I'm sure he still has a guy that he would take pointers from, because I think there's another through line of, or at least a connection point of all the best of the best, that they don't know, like they don't believe that they're there. They need it. They're constant learners. Charlie Chaplin has this great quote that we don't live long enough to become an expert. And even when I use the word expert, I kind of use it loosely, because I think when you think of expert, you're like, oh, you know everything there is to know about something. But like Charlie Chaplin says, I don't think we live long enough to even become an expert, to become someone who knows everything there is to know about something. We're constant learning.
And being an avid reader, the largest thing I've learned in, how old am I? 20 years of reading books. The only thing I know is that I know nothing. Like the more educated I become, the less that I know. And that's why chapter 1 of my book is I know nothing. And I wanted to start the readers off understanding, like, look, I'm still, I'm figuring it out just the same as you are. So I'm not reading this book. I'm not writing this book as an expert. I'm just sharing my perspective with you, and if you like it, then that's great.
100%. And side tangent, the I love them all, but the clients I've worked with or the people I've interacted with who do come off as they know it all are always never nearly as successful as the people I know that are avid readers or avid learners or self-aware that they don't know enough and they're constant learners. So I think there's a major lesson there too. But I've been I mean, yeah, it's just like it's so funny, right? Like you go to college, and what are you doing when you go to college? You're investing $40,000 a year
Yeah,
into your education.
right.
But somehow that's not like it's just such an
It's
indoctrinated
not
part.
taboo, where if you paid 40 grand for a coach now and you're like, oh no, he's going to be my coach for the next 4 years, people be like, you got scammed, dude.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
they would
Or,
say.
or 40K for a year. Like
Yeah.
imagine saying I'm paying 120K for 4 years. Like that's nuts. But you went to, I don't know, some small liberal arts
Yeah.
school in
And to take that
Vermont and
math
paid the
class that
same
you don't
amount.
remember.
Yeah, it's insane. So I've been a massive investor myself. I've even gone to a point in my business career where I've invested into debt. And it's not my advice to most people, but I am a bit of an advocate to kind of put your back against the wall if you
Sure.
really need to
Yeah.
have that happen for you. I don't come from a lot growing up, so I've always been very comfortable with going back to that point, and I think that's a bit of a superpower, and I think some people do have that who might not have had the best upbringing financially. So obviously, I'm building a nest egg, and I want to not ever live like that or
Well,
have my
Malcolm
family live like
Gladwell
that.
wrote a
But it's
book.
a
I can't remember which one it is, but he talks about second generation of wealthy parents are never, like, statistically never as likely to be as successful as their parents for that exact reason, right? Like, you didn't have the grind, you didn't have the struggle, and so you just don't have that same drive that someone who did go through that is going to have, and you're not afraid of it because you've been there. You know what I mean? So you know what it looks like, and you know you're going to get through it.
Yeah, and I think you appreciate the highs and lows a lot more too.
Yeah.
Because when you don't have much, you got the intangibles, right? You got your love of your family and relationships. Hopefully you obviously have like a roof over your head and whatnot. Like you got the necessities. So all the extra stuff is just it could be bogus.
Yep.
But yeah, so anyway, that's not financial advice to go into debt. But if that's a path that you want to take, then go for it.
Hey,
'Cause
one of the most successful
it
people I
worked for
ever
me.
know I've ever met said there's two ways to be in life. No leverage at all. So like you have no debts, you're not leveraged in any way, or leveraged all the way to the top. He's
Yeah,
like, so
yeah,
it's one of the two. Don't find yourself in the
yeah.
middle. Have no leverage or leverage everything you've got until you get to a point you have no leverage.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's a lot of truth in that for sure. It takes a lot of I think it takes a lot of self belief in yourself. I don't have it hung up right now because we recently moved, and I don't even know if I will hang it up because I'm trying to be mindful of my space. But I have a Muhammad Ali picture that says, "Oh my gosh, it's slipping my mind," but it's something around, "Oh, confidence has no competition," is the quote. And I don't love the word confidence, honestly. I think a better substitute for that word is self belief. So if you have belief in yourself, like you cannot lose. Like
I agree.
at bare bones, if everything is stripped from you and you somehow believe in yourself that you can rise out of the ashes like the phoenix and grab your bootstraps and get going, you're going to be good. You'll find a way. So I'm a massive believer in finding self-belief. And I know a lot of people don't have it too, which is tough to always hear. But anyway,
You mentioned Lewis Howes. Have you been to his Summit of Greatness?
I haven't yet. I have not yet. No.
He's doing it now. He's been in LA last year. He's doing it again in LA this year. I went to his last one in Columbus with Book Thinkers because they put on an event that day before. I spoke at that and then went to Lewis Howe's thing. But my wife and I are going back this year, and that was like one of the best 3 days ever. Like it truly was a transformative thing.
Is it in LA again?
It's in LA again. Yep.
Okay. He just released that new book and
Yeah.
he was actually going to come to Nashville to promote it. And I saw it. If you even go back on his Instagram post and see the dates, you'll see Nashville. But I don't think they sold enough tickets because he stopped promoting it. And then I went on his website and it never happened.
Oh,
So I was going to go to that. I was excited to go to that
Yeah.
because he was coming to town. But I guess, I mean, which I guess makes sense. Like Nashville's not even though there are a lot of authors here and thought leaders like Dave Ramsey and Donald Miller and some other folks, I don't think you don't come here necessarily to personally develop. You're coming here for music or
Well, and I
food
think
or
he did go
booze.
on Dave's podcast, so maybe he ended up just doing that instead. Because I'm pretty
Okay.
sure he did
Yeah.
go on Ramsey's
I guess he just
podcast.
didn't like sell out the arena
Yeah.
of whatever it might be, but which is tough in itself. I mean, even someone who has a massive platform like that, like that's pretty humbling to know that you know, a decently big city doesn't know you as well, but maybe that's gonna spearhead some excitement that he'll come back and grow more of a presence here. Um, but back to just self investing in yourself. I mean, yeah, I think it's a no brainer. I think you're always going to get a return, whether it's an actual one for one or $1 in, $2 out financial ROI. But I'll say this: I invested one time in myself $13,000, and I didn't have $13,000 at the point, and it was for a AI appointment setting software. And I later found out the software was $97 a month that I could have found on my own, but this guy was just really good at positioning and
Oh
marketing
man.
that it worked. And I got the highest level of buyer's remorse that I've ever experienced before. I actually had a debilitating migraine afterwards that knocked me out because I realized I was way over my skis. I'm not angry at that person. I haven't talked to him since. I'm sure he did it to many other people, but that moment like transformed me in such a positive way that now my risk tolerance is like undefeated. Like if I had gone through that, like I feel like I can run through a brick wall. So, and I was telling someone about this actually, funny enough, at the Mexico event to kind of make, this part of the conversation come full circle as well. He called it the dumb tax. And he says everyone has to pay the dumb tax, that you're going to invest over your skis one day or you're going to pay somebody and they promised you the world and it's not going to pan out. And yeah, it sucks, but I think there's a massive like learning moment in that process.
Well,
Um,
everyone who's done something great has also lost something great. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like you have to have that loss where you can get your big win. I've had a couple, and I've always looked back on it kind of like you did and been like, man, I'm so grateful that because I overinvested. I leveraged debt for an investment that I didn't have, lost it all. It was a Ponzi scheme. So I had like literally nothing. But I made it through. And so it's like now I know I can do it. And I learned from it, and the lessons I learned from that, I won't make that mistake again. And I'm truly grateful. I would never go back and change it.
right. Yeah, there's never any regrets. I think they're all learning moments. You just become wiser. You toughen your skin a bit. But you're totally right. I mean, anyone that I think has their name in lights or has had a successful business, I'm sure they can spend a full dinner with you explaining all the losses that
Yeah.
they've caught or all the mistakes they've made. I don't think you appreciate the wins too without the losses.
Or you
So
don't. You
I
have to
think
lose to learn to win.
yeah. And unfortunately, like, I think maybe why people are hesitant to invest in themselves is they're scared of that happening. And I think you already lost if you're thinking like that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't obviously go into that deal thinking that was going to happen. No one does. Um, so I think you need to go in with the right mindset. I also will say too, and I kind of say this to all my clients potentially listening. I think even if you invest in a done for you solution, nothing's ever truly done for you. Like I think you should still have some sort of involvement in some capacity.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like, don't get a promise that X is going to happen and you're going to sit back with your feet up and you're going to wake up in 20 days and it's going to happen. Now, granted, the done for you service provider needs to do what he says he's going to do, he or she, and they're going to do that. But everything I've invested in from a done for you standpoint or done with you, I see it as like a collaboration with the expert. Like, yeah, they're going to do the work for me, but I at least like want to have that conversation where
Well,
like I can lend my brain to them. And I think some people just don't. I don't know. That doesn't seem like a common thought with people when it comes to done for you solutions,
well, the
which
perfect
makes sense. Like I
example,
get it, but
I've got my podcast crew here, Blue Four Media, and they produce the podcast for me. They do everything for me, so it's very much done for you. But if I didn't schedule good guests and if I didn't show up with good energy And if I didn't have meaningful conversations, I wouldn't have a silver play button. But it
Yeah.
wouldn't be their fault. You know what I mean? Because that's not their responsibility to give me a silver play button. It's up
That's
to
a
me
great
to
point.
have good guests, good content, good energy, and to show up prepared and ready to do the damn thing. But I think, and they could probably, acknowledge that when you're the person providing the done for you and your client doesn't show up and then they're mad at you for the results, it's like, well, I did what I said I was going to do, but you got to be willing to be the thing we're selling and show up. Otherwise, it doesn't matter.
100%. 100%. Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you got to come and bring what you bring to the table, which is the energy. And I mean, if it took uploading a video on YouTube of someone monotone recording a podcast to hit the play button, like we'd all have one. But
Yeah.
clearly that's not the case. So you need to come with good energy, good
Yeah.
questions, and good guests, which is what you bring to the table, and then they just bring it to the finish line.
Yeah. And I couldn't do
So
without him, as much as I would, if I didn't have Blue Form, I also wouldn't have a silver play button because I wouldn't have ever recorded the episodes. I tried, it was too hard.
yeah, yeah.
And I didn't have anyone who I was accountable to. So, like, I just wouldn't have shown up. You know what I mean? So I needed them just in the same way they needed me.
Which I think is another good point when it comes to investing in yourself. Yes, you're paying or investing to learn something or get some outcome, but I can attest this, and maybe you can too, Cody. The accountability in the community that I've gained from investing in programs has probably been the better part of the investment.
Yeah.
This program I'm in right now that I went to Mexico with, I'm in a crew, is what they call it. So I'm in like a breakout session of like 9 people. And we had a call today at noon, my time. And it was 4 of us. And the main guy wasn't there. And these are all adults running businesses, have kids, have families. Like we need to be self-led, self-responsible. And we're, helping one another as we go. And it's like, back to why I started Unleash the Knowledge was the community and the accountability. Why you join a sports team. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't really talk to like a tennis player per se, because that's like a one person type of sport, but they still have a coach and
Yeah.
whatnot. But when it comes to like a team sport, like you're not going to win a basketball game just you on that court. Like
Yeah.
you need
Ask Trae
four other
Young.
guys to get the job done. So, yeah, I mean, hey, I'm not going to say it's not daunting to probably first invest in yourself, but I think if it could be one of the greatest steps you take to put money forward and invest in your growth. And then when you see it all kind of come true, or whatever the outcome you were looking for happens, but you also realize how much you've developed as an individual through that process, you're going to realize that's like one of the secrets of life and growth. It's like get around better people or people that are growing and leveling up, and know that you don't know much, and get around the people who are experts in those domains. More or less, you're going to have to invest yourself or invest money to get into those rooms, and then take action on what you learn. But
Do you know
that's
Marcus? I can't remember his last name. I know how you say it. Alilius. He wrote the book "Play the Bigger Game." Did you ever work with him in any way?
no, I know of him. I know because Nick worked with him.
Yeah.
No, I don't know him personally.
So he invests $250,000 a year in himself,
Mm.
and he's doing it. Like he's doing it on a real big scale. And that was like the first time I was like, wow. From a non-athlete perspective, that's the most I'd ever heard someone investing in like their self growth.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I'm sure it's paid off.
Oh, yeah, undoubtedly so. I think it always does, as long as you show up, right? You can't pay
Right.
for it and not do your part. Okay, so a couple questions before we wrap up here. Number one, what's the best book you've read so far this year?
I'm reading this book right now. I could flash it if it shows up on the screen.
Yeah. Oh,
But
my God, that's such a good one. That is,
Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill. I mean, of course,
It's
Think and
incredible.
Grow Rich was one of them that got me going, but I never picked up this book. I never really heard about it too, to be honest, and it kind of has come up more and more recently. Um, I'm still working through it. What am I on? I'm on page 106 out of 250. So we're almost halfway through, but it's really good. And I think it really kind of conveys kind of what we talked about a little bit, like what really separates the doom scrollers and the guys, girls chasing the paycheck and just kind of thinking that's life versus the people who are like, there's more in life for me and what can I do? But usually that path of the latter who's going out on their own is not an overnight success. There's a lot of temptations and whatnot. But if you make it through at a certain point, I think it's like this glorious, I mean, it becomes this glorious outcome. And yeah, I mean, I've seen that for myself. I've read it in books and I've seen it in other people. So yeah, this is a good one.
It's weird. It doesn't get the same clout. I never heard of it either, and I'm a big reader. And I had someone on the podcast, and I asked them like their 3 favorite books, and that was number 1. And so I read it, I think last year, either before, and it was like incredible. And I was like, how was this book never mentioned amongst the books?
Yeah, the drifters versus the non-drifters, right? That seems to be the theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been awesome. I'm glad I'm reading it. And I've also been listening to, which is a book that I'm going to have to read because it's so dense and there's a lot of meditation when it comes to it, is Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I've had that book for so long. I've never picked it up, but it's on Spotify actually for free. So
okay.
I just did a 30-day bout of 75 hard in the month of March, which I guess is their like phase 2. So it's like it was a completed program, but it wasn't the full-fledged 75 days. And I listened to that book through the whole process, and it's so good. I mean, the success stories in there of how
what was it called?
Becoming Supernatural.
Okay.
By Dr. Joe Dispenza. Yeah, it's I mean, it's just power of the mind, which is a lot of Napoleon Hill's work too. I mean, I think, what goes on between our ears is, the game changing.
Well, it all starts and ends here. You know what I mean? And I think that people don't like that advice because it's too easy. And like if you're struggling, you don't want to be told, just think differently, because that's just such an easy solve, Yeah. But so often that's the case. Well, Owen, if people listening want to work with you for ghostwriting, or if they want to grow their coaching business, by 20K a month, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I would say you could head to Instagram and you can go to @IamOwenSammarone. That's my kind of coaching personal brand page. And then LinkedIn, you could find me, Owen Sammarone, for all LinkedIn things. But generally, if you Google my name, I'm in a handful of places on the good old first page of Google.
Yeah, you're all over it.
Yeah, so you can find me anywhere. I mean, even if you find me through Unleash the Knowledge on Instagram, I'll find it, I'm sure, one way or another. But yeah, that's the personal brand Instagram page, and then LinkedIn.
Okay, well, I will leave those links in the show notes. So if you're listening and you want to connect with Owen, you'll be able to do so. Owen, thanks for taking the time. We even ran long. It was such a great conversation. We could have kept going. But thank you so much for being... Oh, no, I'm sorry. One more question. Who wins the NBA championship this year?
Oh my gosh. This is intense because I'm not even so dialed in on the playoffs this year. But I will say, I just want to see him win, is Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves.
God, he's such a dog.
He is one of the greatest athletes, I think, of the, whatever you want to call it, the 2010s generation, or even the 2020s, now that we're 5 years in, which is insane to think about. But he's a dog. He deserves it. I think he's a great athlete. I hope he has what it takes to do it. I mean, I think he might need a little bit more help, but if he has his 35-point games, he might be able to somehow squeeze through.
Well, they put it on the Lakers in game 1. I mean, boy, they just put a whipping on them. I am a huge Nuggets fan my whole life, still am. I was so relieved that we didn't have to play the Wolves in the first round, because either them or the Lakers are knocking each other out, which is great. So knock one of them out of the way. We'll see if Jokic can do it. He's got a tall order ahead of him, but to me, Jokic is the best in the game.
I'm popping in right now. So it's okay. They're on game 2.
Yeah.
So Timberwolves are up 1 on Lakers. Okay, cool.
Well, and your Knicks had a great game against the Pistons. They were losing, and then the Knicks went on a 21-0 run in the fourth quarter to take game 1. So lots of great basketball. In fact, Knicks and Pistons tip off in 7 minutes, so we better get after it.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, we want the Knicks to win for the city and for the team. So I could throw them in the mix too. But to be honest, I'm a deep college basketball guy. I've drifted from the NBA, so I had a great time watching March Madness. But let's see if the Knicks pull through or T-Wolves.
I had St. John's winning it all, so I was a little bit disappointed. That ended for me pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's madness. That's how it goes.
That's the
Anything can
name of the
happen.
game. All right, Owen. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate it. It was great to connect with you. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great, Cody. Thanks for having me, man.